God for that, because once you know how, you won't abuse it, hopefully. But you got to be careful that you don't get caught up in what God has given you. You have to utilize it for His glory. Amen. Otherwise, you can abuse that authority. So Proverbs, the word proverb means, pro meaning for, verb meaning action, meaning a word for you to put in action. This is what Proverbs means. It's a word for you. It's not to sit there stagnated like water that will just sit in a puddle and stink. No, you have to put some action to that. So what ends up happening here is, as we are learning to trust in the Lord with all our heart and leaning not unto our own understanding, we must have a continued regard to God's precepts. What are God's precepts? It's a command. It's a principle. It's intended especially as a general rule of back to action again. That's what it's for. When we're trusting in the Lord with all our heart, that's just what He wants us to do. Not with some of it. He doesn't want us to just say, okay, well, God, I did this much, and now you just sit right here, and when I'm ready for you, I'll pull you off the shelf and dust you off, and then you can do a miracle for me, then I'll put you back. No. In all your ways, acknowledge Him. If you're looking for a spouse, acknowledge Him. If you're looking for the right job, acknowledge Him. If you're having trouble in your home with your children, acknowledge Him. If you're having trouble on your job, acknowledge Him. If you're having trouble out with your neighbors, with your spouse, it doesn't matter. Acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path.
Amen.
Yes.
All you got to do is acknowledge Him. See, when you acknowledge Him, see what the deal is here is you have to show Him that you trust Him. God, I may not understand, but I trust you. And as long as I trust you, I know that you're going to direct my footsteps. You're going to keep my path straight. Sometimes a path will go in this direction, but it's still taking you to that point.
Amen.
But you got to stay in your path. And sometimes it's dark. But if you go outside the path, I remember as a child, we used to go to the store in Woodbury Heights. We'd run from Deptford to Winona to Woodbury Heights, and we would go through the Garland's yard, and there was a path there. And sometimes it was dark, but the path was so deep. The woods were down, the path, the sand was light. So no matter how dark it was, the sand lit up just enough for us to see where we were going. And I was a few pounds lighter then and a whole lot faster. And it might have been 20 of us going to go get penny. At the time, we can buy penny candy for you younger folks in here, that don't know about penny candy. Man, you had $1, man, that's 100 pieces of candy. So in order for us to get the candy, we had to go through that path if we wanted to go there fast to get that candy. And then yet, we'd run through the other guys' neighborhoods, and they would just want to rough us up because we were from our neighborhood, and you had to cut through their neighborhood to get to the penny candy. So it was real funny, and it's a challenge because I really didn't have an issue because there's so many brothers and sisters I had. Everybody knew me, but they still would want to pick with you because you're with the group. And like I say, I was fast, so we'd run through that path, and then we got to our destination. You get your breath, and we get to the store, you get your candy, you're eating some. Then all of a sudden, they chase you, or you had to stand there and fight. They want to rough you up, so either you rough them back up or avoid it, because it was usually more of them than us, and we had to get back in our territory. It was just all in fun. And sometimes it was dark, and there was some briars in the path that was on the side, and sticks that had fell down, and rocks, and you just didn't know what was there, but you knew if you stayed in your path. Once we got to the dark part, and we knew that you didn't want the boogeyman to get you. So that was, our little fear thing. The last one, the boogeyman's going to get you. So you didn't want to be the last one running with your candy. And so when we would hit that path, and we stayed on that path, we didn't have to be concerned about any sticks, thorns, or no distractions. Just stay on that path until you got to the neighborhood. And boy, did it work out well. But when some fell off of that because somebody in front of you might have been a little too slow, And sometimes this happens in our Christian walk, that we don't feel as though that some people are meeting up to our standards, and we want to go around them. When we go around them, sometimes we don't see, we're coming out of our path. We are coming out of our path, and we are entering into an area where there could be a hole. It could be some briars there. It could be something to distract you instead of you holding back. Say, oh, they're not going as fast as I want them to. Well, are you praying for them? That God will help them in that area. Just because they didn't get started when you got started, it doesn't mean that they don't know. They want the candy too. They got to stay in their path, just like you. Sometimes you got to help some folks along until they can get up to speed.
Yeah, that's right.
Once you feel as though that you are up to speed, that's called pride.